Gage already has tried 3 times to seize our supplies: Charlestown, Salem, and Portsmouth. Once he did, and twice we were too quick for him. He doesn't know where our things are hidden. Don't he? Don't he? Johnny filled his tankard again with the horrifying concoction. Dove belched with satisfaction. They've got maps. Maps in cases. They've got Worcester and Concord marked in red. They know where to go, all right. Don't you wish you knew just how many active troops there are in Boston now? How many? Dove's figure was wildly inaccurate. It looked as though they had wasted their ale and Lydia's brandy. Dove was getting maudlin. There were tears in his eyes as he told them how much he loved them. Best friends ever had, he mumbled. Best boys in the world. And he suddenly struck out at the British. They're mean guys, he cried angrily. I'm going to the Berkshires with you two. I'm not going to stay here in Boston, nursemaiding them their horses. Dig a hole. Get in hole. Pull a hole in after me. Keep safe till war's over. Boys, boys, he cried in alcoholic despair. You come with me. I can't stand for you to hang. I can't. And he burst into tears. Pull yourself together, Rab ordered sternly. He was less easygoing about some things than Johnny. Sure, I'll pull right out of here. He got unsteadily to his feet. I'm going to tell that stranger I quit. Going to throw a curry bomb in Colonel Swish's fash. I'm going to... Oh, hold on there. No, you're not, Dove, said Rab, blocking the door. You're going to sit down, see? And cool off. It would never do to let Dove return to the inn in such a state. He'd get fired. The boys had overcooked their own goose. It took them half an hour to quiet Dove. Over and over, they explained to him what a fine job he had, and what a glory it was to be part of the British Army. Finally, Dove began to subside. He was getting sleepy. Well, it don't make any difference. I'll get fired anyhow. The stranger told me to get the colonel's horses all shined up good. Told me to get Nan around saddled by 4 or something. Maybe by 4:30. He leaned back and slept. Looks like I'll have to do his work for him, muttered Johnny. We can't let him get fired. It's 4 now. Oh, that swole pig. Louse. He ran for the stable. Before this, he had often helped Dove with his work. The colonel had 2 horses. The heavy yellow charger called Sandy he had brought with him from England, and the light pacing mare Lieutenant Stranger had picked out for him after he had decided Goblin wouldn't suit. Nan, this second horse, had easier gaits than the old war horse. The colonel much preferred her for hacking about Boston, but she was not yet well trained for drums and volleys. The colonel, a poor horseman, never risked his dignity on her when he went out with his troops. Then he rode Sandy. Nan was beautiful and affectionate. Sandy, sweet-tempered, old, and wise. Johnny liked them both. As Dove slept, Johnny worked and whistled. At 4:30, he had Nan saddled and led her to the mounting block in front of the inn. The fat colonel could not mount or dismount from the ground. Take her back, boy, Lieutenant Stranger told him. Colonel Smith is bilious. And then he noticed it was Johnny, not Dove, and his handsome face brightened. He asked no questions. Look you, he said, run fetch your horse and I'll take Nan. I want you to show you how to jump. Stranger had already told him of the hurdles at the foot of the common, Johnny had wistfully watched red-coated officers schooling their horses over them. He had not dared try them himself. He was afraid they would order him away. But no one would order away any friend stranger cared to bring with him. Although the very young officer was proud and class-conscious enough when they met indoors at the Lights or Afric Queen, once both were in their saddles, they were equals. He was an ardent teacher who had at last met a pupil worth bothering with. Or rather, two pupils, for at the end of the first lesson he said Goblin was the finest natural jumper he had ever seen. Johnny knew he longed to own him himself. He could, any moment, by merely saying commandeer. And Johnny knew he never would say it. From that day, he and Johnny spent hours together jumping or exercising horses. Johnny almost worshipped him for his skill and almost loved him because, ever and anon, he looked so much like Rab. But still, it was only where horses were concerned they were equals. Indoors, he was rigidly a British officer and a gentleman, and Johnny an inferior. This shifting about puzzled Johnny. It did not seem to puzzle the British officer at all.